Lights, Camera, Cleveland. I'm Rob Alderman. With me, as always, is Ryan, the Hollywood Slinky Faricelli.
Good morning.
We're very excited today to have another guest with us. With us this morning, actually, is Dan Howell. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why he's here?
Joining us this morning is Dan Howell. Of course, he is also known as the handsomest man in television. He's also featured very prominently in David Carroll's new book, Newscasters of the Civil War.
We're really, really excited about this because it's very, very rare to find a Civil War newscaster who's capable of doing much, much less alive. And so Dan, being not only the handsomest man in television,
but also perhaps the oldest.
And so we've got Dan with us here. We're really excited to talk to him. Thanks for being with us, Dan.
Well, it's genetics. That's what it is. It's genetics. It runs in the family.
So Dan actually went with us to see Thor over this past week.
I did go see Thor.
And so we'd like to pick your brains a little. What'd you think of Thor, sir?
I like the hammer. I need a hammer like that because I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I figure if I had a hammer like that, there's no telling what I could do. I could finish up this remodel project.
What was your favorite part of Thor? What was your favorite
special
moment?
Effects. I like the special effects.
No, I mean your favorite moment, the thing that happened.
Oh, the favorite moment.
We know that to a guy that's been alive since the Civil War, the special effects were awesome. You know, we're pretty sure that was great for
and
you.
to think I willingly put up with this every Friday. It's just incredible that we do this. But let's see, there were many highlights. I liked the battle in the middle of the street with the big. It looked like a transformer to me.
Yeah, that was good.
That scene was nice because it kind of harkened to sort of a spaghetti western sort of feel. You know, I mean, it was very.
I agree.
Except it was a giant robot.
Yeah, they had the high shot along the street, and it looked like John Wayne coming down to Quick Draw McGraw, that type of thing. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. But you're right.
Reminded me of Quick Draw McGraw.
Quick Draw McThor.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But the special effects, I don't know how they did all that, but computerization is amazing. But yeah, it was a good movie. I enjoyed that. Now, first time that you and I, by the way, all three of us have agreed on a movie.
That's right. You know what?
We like that.
Rob and I both liked it quite a bit. I wasn't real crazy with Natalie Portman. I kind of felt like, as Rob pointed out to me, she didn't have a whole lot to work with. The part that was not very well written. And I don't know that she did very much with it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I thought that was weak. If there was a weak link in the movie, I thought that was.
Which is surprising with Natalie Portman. You know, she's got quite a resume behind her.
But it isn't surprising with the director Kenneth Branagh. Kenneth Branagh is known for doing Shakespearean films. He's done a lot of push trying to kind of bring the world of Shakespeare to. Specifically, actually, to the American public through film. And so it made sense when you saw the movie that all of the scenes that take place in Asgard with all of the kind of the Shakespearean motif to a lot of that, that was very, very exciting. But then that made some of the stuff that happens on Earth fall kind of flat.
Yeah.
Ryan and I disagreed, I think, on the direction Natalie Portman is taking in Life. I kind of like the fact that she's filling out a little bit and getting a little bit older, and Ryan thought she's losing a little bit of her visual edge.
Yeah, I think, she was one of those actresses where there was actually an internet website devoted to a countdown timer till she was 18 years old.
I remember that.
You know, yeah. She was very much beloved by the fanboys, and so she was kind of always kind of viewed as this hot, young actress. And I just don't know that age is being so kind. I think she's kind of becoming sort of plain, which may work to her advantage if she really picks the right roles.
Now, the guy that played Thor, I've never seen him in another
Isn't it Chris
movie.
Chris
Chris Hemsworth.
But
he was cast very well for that particular part.
Did you see the new Star Trek film by the J.J. Abrams Star Trek?
One.
Well, he plays James Kirk's father in the opening 10 minutes of it.
Right.
And it's probably the best performance in the film, which is not to say that there's not good performances, because the performances in that movie are all high caliber, but he steals the film in those 10 minutes.
he really does. In addition to being, I'll tell you this. When we went to see it, and we walked out of the theater, it was a bunch of us with our wives, okay? And everyone walked out, and the guys weren't even really talking much. It was kind of late. And yet all of the wives said, I could have done more, a scene or two more with his shirt off. You know,
With Thor?
yeah, everybody, all the women love him with his shirt off, and you know he's a good-looking dude.
Plays that part
He's a
really
good-looking
well,
dude, but he can also act.
He
and
could.
so I think that's a deadly combination.
Sure. You know, I was
in
told
Hollywood.
if I were to grow my hair out that I would look
You
a great
could
deal
do
like
that.
him, and I think that's true. I'm a strapping young man.
So basically, we're all three saying, yeah, go see Thor.
Go see Thor.
Now,
Yeah, we
Right.
give it a great.
Now, let me tell you this. Tuesday night, a friend and I...
Hey, I don't come on your show and steal it. Why are you
Yeah,
stealing our
what
show?
are you doing?
friend of mine had suggested we go see Bridesmaid. You know, you see the previews at the movie.
Sure.
And boy, this is a funny movie. I've got to see it. I went to see it. I was never so disappointed in my life. I found it vulgar. I found it crass. A lot of bathroom humor, and it was a tired storyline that I think they just stole it from my best friend's wedding. I don't know what
Okay,
they did.
now here's my counterpoint to that. Here's going to be my counterpoint. I also went to see Bridesmaids. I found it vulgar. I found it crass. I found the story tired, and I laughed so hard I could barely see straight. Here's what I actually think about this film. And I don't endorse it based on what we actually just said. And you never really know what you're getting into with the film. This was a film that was made by the people who made The Hangover. Okay. So what I think though is that this film is actually very, very important. Okay, it's important in the genre. Okay, if we're going to be fair, remember, we don't come on the show and just talk about what it is that we personally like and then espouse, hand out a church bulletin and say where we go to church. We also talk about the films in a way that everyone
Right.
can grasp
It's
them.
for the whole audience.
Right, and so
Gotcha.
the fact is this, that never before in the history of film that I can think of has there been a movie, a girly movie, that took this genre of raunchy comedy this far. We've been seeing this with men movies for years, since the mid-'80s at least. We've been seeing these sort of shock humor, kind of very accessible, the guy buddy film. You go with it. And so that's the thing, is you go with a bunch of guys to a movie like that, and everybody sort of laughs, and then you leave and people blush and they don't talk about it much. But half the people in this town, we've said this before, half the people in this town went to see The Hangover.
Right.
Nobody's going to talk about it. Nobody's going to actually admit that they saw The Hangover, but everybody went and saw it, right? I think that with Bridesmaids, what is fascinating is for the first time you have an entire female cast doing the same thing and saying, we can throw the same punches that the men can throw. And I'll tell you, my wife laughed an awful lot during that film, and she's a pretty modest character. So it was pretty interesting to see. And the film, when we went, at least, the theater was full of mostly women. I felt a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I can endorse the film because it is all those things that we said. But I will just say that if you're planning to go, you best go with someone you feel really comfortable with.
Right.
Because it's pretty far down that road.
And you don't want to take my grandkids, of course, they're
your
no. They wanted me to take them.
Dan.
And I said, I'm going to go see it first.
Daniel.
And I said, after that, I said, there's no way because
Goodness.
it's rated R.
No, goodness. It definitely is
don't
something
take
that I
your
would
children.
say most people aren't gonna want to go. But if that is your thing, it's really interesting. I thought interesting to see it with women doing it. We've got about a minute 30, so we need to talk Pirates.
That's right. Pirates of the Caribbean Part 4 on Stranger Tides starts this
That's right.
weekend. They've finally kind of gotten away from Gore Verbinski as director, and they've went with a guy named Ron Marshall, who doesn't have a whole lot of this type of movie on his resume. He's directed the musical Chicago, and he directed Memoirs of a Geisha, neither of which are along the same lines as Pirates. But of course, Johnny Depp is back, and they've replaced Orlando Bloom with Penelope Cruz.
Right. Interesting choice. Replacing Orlando Bloom with Penelope Cruz. They're really the same.
Yeah, I think that I've not liked any of the Pirates films since the first one. I think that they get a little more ridiculous with each outing, and I'm not just talking about.
It's like they're reaching, and they never get there.
And it's not just the fantasy elements. I think just even the character interactions get harder to buy into each time.
Well, we talked about this on the podcast, and I think that part of the reason is that you really can't base a film off of a theme ride and expect it to have depth. You can't
At least
expect
not
a
for
film.
5 films.
Yeah, you can't
Or 4
expect
films.
4 or 5 films to go that
Johnny
way.
Depp's made a good living off of those 5 films.
He sure
Yeah.
has.
Well, that's about all the time that we've got here for Lights Camera Cleveland.
Thanks to our sponsor, Tennessee Valley, this morning.
We'd also like to give a big shout out to Jonathan Smith, today being his final day with us, and he's the one who created our epic intro.
That's right.
For this.
Well, thanks for letting me be your guest today.
Thank you.
We hope you'll come back sometime.
See you later.
Have a good morning. I almost said